So Kash Patel, the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, all these folks, they're firing senior FBI agents left and right. Last month, they fired an agent named Mike Fineberg. I think that was his name. Because he's friends outside of work with a former FBI agent named Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok was part of the Russia investigation when Trump was coming into office in like late 2016, early 2017. And he'd had some kind of an affair with a co-worker. I think her name was Lisa Page. And you may recall that some folks on the right took the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and made their text messages into a Broadway play. The two of them didn't like Donald Trump. Peter Strzok was a Russia expert. That's why he was a part of that investigation. Peter Strzok, when he was at the FBI, if I'm remembering this correctly, there was a TV show on several years ago, I think it was on FX, called The Americans. And it was about a couple, an American couple, who had a travel agency and had two kids who were in school, and they were actually Russian sleeper agents. They had lived in the United States for all of their adult lives and had been undercover as Russian spies and like led a happy life in the suburbs until they were eventually discovered by the FBI. Peter Strzok was that FBI agent in real life. He busted undercover Russian spies in the United States living as Americans. That's what he did for his job at the FBI. And so he got fired from the FBI. And currently in 2025, Mike Fineberg was fired from the FBI because he was friends with Peter Strzok outside of work. And Peter Strzok had previously been mean to Donald Trump. Mike Fineberg had been at the FBI for like 15 or 20 years, speaks fluent Mandarin, is an expert on China within the context of his job at the FBI. Seems like a pretty valuable set of skills to have for a senior FBI agent. But the Trump administration fired him because he's still friends with Peter Strzok outside of the office. And I'd seen a couple of interviews with him. And when the FBI fired him, his wife was like 4 or 5 months into a high-risk pregnancy. And they fired him because he's still friends with somebody who was mean to Donald Trump at the end of 2016. This week, those firings continued. They fired another senior FBI guy named Brian Driscoll. His nickname at the office was Driz. And he was a senior guy, had been there for a very long time, and he was part of the investigations into January 6th at the Capitol, the insurrection at the Capitol. When the Trump administration first took over the FBI after Inauguration Day this year, they thought Brian Driscoll was somebody else, and they accidentally made him acting director of the FBI until they could get Kash Patel in there. So there was a month or 4 or 5 weeks or whatever where Brian Driscoll was the acting head of the FBI, and the Trump administration ordered him to provide them with a list of names of all agents nationwide who had participated in the January 6th investigations, and he told them to fuck off. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not your fucking toady. And he stood up for the rank and file agents. Apparently he is a legend among the rank and file special agents in the FBI. And when they fired him this week, all of the agents cheered and gave him a send-off as he was leaving the building in support of him. And NBC reporter Ken Delanian who has a lot of law enforcement contacts inside the FBI. Several agents said to him, he's like, people are pissed. People are extremely angry about this. Agents are pissed. And along with Brian Driscoll this week, they fired another senior FBI agent. I think his name is Walt Gordina. Again, senior guy. His whole career had been there at the FBI, but he had also participated in January 6th investigations. Agents were assigned to those investigations. FBI special agents don't get assigned to an investigation and go, you know what? I don't agree with this investigation politically, so I'm not going to participate in this investigation. I need you to assign me to something else that doesn't damage my career at all. That's not the way any organization like the FBI works. They work the cases they are assigned to work, and they follow the evidence wherever it may go without fear or favor. That's the way the FBI works. And Trump and Kash Patel are coming in and firing all of these agents who were assigned by their superiors to investigate these January 6th cases. What were they supposed to do? Were they supposed to quit in February of 2021? Say, no, I'm not. You're going after Donald Trump, and this is a witch hunt, so I'm not going to participate in that investigation, and I'm going to resign. Well, Walt Gordina, the third agent that I'm talking about that they fired this past week, a month ago, he lost his wife to pancreatic cancer. His wife died. And they fired him this week because he had participated in investigating the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th and investigating the people who participated in that insurrection. They fired him. It's bad enough that the largest criminal investigation in United States history that had lasted for over 4 years and had resulted in hundreds and hundreds of guilty pleas and convictions and prison sentences, a case that was still ongoing when Donald Trump was inaugurated on January 20th. It's bad enough that on his first night in office, Donald Trump pardoned every single one of those defendants, even ones that had been sentenced to 10, 15, 20, 22 years in prison for sedition against the United States of America, nullifying a half a decade's worth of work by the FBI and these investigators. They did the jobs that they were assigned to do. You don't get to pick what cases you work on as an FBI agent because of your political leanings. You work the cases that you're assigned to work. That's the job. They are hollowing out the FBI. They are hollowing out the CIA. They are hollowing out our intelligence community. They are hollowing out all of the attorneys at the Department of Justice. At the end of Donald Trump's term, people like Mike Fineberg, Brian Driscoll, Walt Gordina, all of those people who are dedicated to the job, who are dedicated to the agency, who are dedicated to the FBI, all of the line attorneys and prosecutors at the DOJ who are dedicated to the job, they're all going to be gone. It's all going to be Trump fart huffers working in these positions and engaging in political investigations and political prosecutions.